One of the first things I heard about Waverly, how it got established and started, the people who originally owned the ground that the building is sitting on now had a daughter who wanted to be a school teacher. And so she set up her own school down at the bottom of where the building is now, down in the flats. And her parents built her a one-room schoolhouse, and she called her schoolhouse Waverly. And the reason for that is there was an English poet named Waverly that was her favorite. From there, she taught all the local kids the name up here, and then they called the place Waverly Hill because it was at the bottom of the hill. And when the state came along and decided to set this place up for tuberculosis sanatorium, they carried the name of Waverly up to the building. A sanitarium is kind of a place for, you think of mentally unstable people, but this was actually a sanatorium, which was a place where people went to get well, and that's exactly what happened up here. People came up here to try to get well. When they came up here, they came to this place because it does sit on the top of a hill, and there's a lot of airflow up here. A nice breeze usually comes from the southwest, and that is something that people were looking for, is fresh air. And we're out in the middle of nowhere, you're quarantined from the general public, and it seemed to be a great place to catch a breeze most all the time. As we look out the windows now, it looks like there's no breeze at all, but you can see some of the leaves on the trees blowing around right now. And that was one of the reasons they picked this site to have the sanatorium. As people think that it was called a sanitarium and it was crazy people up here, once tuberculosis was pretty much cured and the vaccinations were out, the state didn't have use for this place to be a sanatorium anymore, and so they tried to find another use for it, and they called the place Woodhaven, and which was called a geriatrics, which kind of means like an old folks home, but it included anybody who couldn't take care of themselves. And this place went from being super clean, super great place for a person to try to get well, to more or less a place where people were just stuck to be taken care of because the general society didn't want them around. And if you hear somebody say that's the old crazy place, the old sanitarium up here, that's the reason they say that, because they remember when this was Woodhaven. And they might remember seeing somebody hanging out the window, you know, hollering at them, or some of the people walking around the grounds that might have had a few, some mental illness or something like that. And that's where a lot of the stories come, where that's the crazy house. I'm a person who never believed in paranormal activity or ghosts or anything else, and super disbeliever. Even when I was a kid, I wasn't scared to walk down the basement in the dark. I just figured, that there was a logical explanation for everything. And I came up here, it's been 4 years ago, when I first got the place, and I was contacted by some people who wanted for me to take a video camera and just go around the outside of the building and walk through the halls and just take the place, the condition of the place. The camera would just act funny, my battery went dead, and that was my first indication that something wasn't quite right up here. And then from there, as we came in and we were starting to clean the place up, board the windows up, put doors on the place to keep the kids out, we just kept on hearing stuff all around us, and we couldn't tell whether there were people in the building or we were hearing things. And so at the start, we just chalked it all up to that because the building was open and it wasn't closed up at all when we first got here, that it was just kids or animals running in and out. But as we got all the windows boarded up and doors boarded up, where we were pretty sure that people weren't in the building, then these noises and movements and things falling over, we started to investigate them more, and we couldn't tell really what was making the noise. We would hear noises, and then we would look for the objects that would make the noises, and we couldn't find them.